All right, everyone, welcome. Let me first test out some sound here. That seemed to work. Perfect. So I can mute my own self and waiting for the delay to catch up. Perfect. Okay. So everything is all good. We're going to try standing up today. Oh, see how long that lasts. So if anyone's new here, I like to start off every time with this. Essentially, this is my weekly live stream. I come on once a week, planning on doing more. Talk about the markets, talk about crypto, Forex, equity markets, what's going on out there. Any videos that I made this week, I'll kind of summarize those as well. Talk about if I traded the stocks I was talking about and how. Then we go into watch list building, where we're trying to figure out what we're going to trade for next week. At that time, I'll also take chart requests. So if you have them, just save them for that bit. So if you have a chart or something you want me to look at, we can do that. And that's what it. Question and answer. As always, I love chat interaction. I have chat over here. That's why I keep looking that way. But I love hearing, what are you guys looking at? That type of thing. Otherwise, I would just record this like I do with my Wednesday videos, which I would also like feedback on. Something I may start doing each Wednesday where I just go, this is the week per se. And if you don't know anything about me, if you're brand new to me, I'm a chartered market technician right back there. I am a quant technician, I think is the best way to put it. Essentially just means I look at algorithms to build watch lists of then stocks that I trade technically, right? So instead of just using algorithms and letting them go, I believe it's that combination of man and machines, the best way to do it. So I use algorithms and scans and back tests and everything to figure out what I'm going to watch and then, go from there with a technical side of things. That being said, let me make sure I have all the chats open. Okay, I got all that. Lastly, what you're going to see for the next hour is essentially what I do each night for the Stats Edge Pro members. So if you're interested in my website, Stats Edge Trading, link in the description below, check that out. Essentially, what it is a kind of a research service where this hour or so of me going through charts, I summarize the ones that I think are important, and then we go whatever I think is important goes up on the website every night. And my watch list for crypto and FX gets updated, or crypto, FX, and stocks get updated every night. So you guys have access to what I'm thinking about the market. Again, it's not a signal service. I don't really believe in those, but it's a way to kind of look at what I do and look at my research on everything that I look at for the market. So give that a shot. It's $2 a day, and month to month you can cancel anytime. So let us just get right into it with that one. There we go. So step one is to take a look at the videos that I did throughout the week. Let's quickly go and do that and just see what. I don't think I made too many. Oh, I made two, but then I had to delete one because it didn't work out too well. So the only one I think, the two from last week, none of them triggered, was SKLZ. Right, I was looking for SKLZ to break this area. It just bounced off and sold, so there was nothing there. And the other one was CRSR. That was the same thing. I was looking for CRSR to kind of break. Excuse me. There we go. Just got to slide that a little bit out of the way so I can see my drawing tools here. Yeah, I was looking for CRSR to kind of break over this area right here, and you can see it didn't do that either. So last few videos I made were a no-go. Let me make sure I have chat back up. I see some questions about crypto. I'll take a look at those for sure, because that's actually where we're going to go into now. So let's do Forex, then crypto, or no, crypto, then Forex, and then stocks. And the reason for that is just this is usually what I do. So On the bottom here, you'll see this is TrendSpider. Again, links for all of this in the description below. If you're interested in a charting platform for crypto, I highly recommend TrendSpider. If you're in for a scanning type of thing for stocks, I recommend Trade Ideas. Again, full disclosure, those are affiliate links. So definitely it helps out the channel if you buy them, but I always just want to make sure that that's known. Hold on here. I'm trying to see this thing wiggling there. So what we're going to do is we're going to start looking at all of these charts. And again, what you're seeing here is kind of what the output of Stats Edge trading is. So kind of what happens at the end of each day is I sit down for about an hour or so, like I normally do, and I go through hundreds of charts. And then with those 100 charts, I kind of come up with synopsises and ideas of what it is that I am looking at. And then from there, I just go, okay, well, now it's time to build a blog post. And I come up with that blog post. And then that's kind of exactly what you see here. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but I will make sure Mana for me, I think it's too far gone. I was, anyone who was in the room will tell you I was highlighting this during this kind of pullback here. I didn't get involved in this name, but above this seemed like a perfect place to do it. I just wouldn't chase up near all-time highs right there. It's just the way that I work, right? I want to be able to make a small calculated risk. And the way I see it now is that if you're buying it at 4, your risk has to go at 3. And that's just, too large of a risk for the potential upside, but it's crypto, right? So the potential upside could be huge. CRO USD. I don't think I even look at this one because, yeah, it's another one just a bit overdone for me, right? From 17 cents up to 56 in a straight line. And Matic USD. This one is actually interesting to me. I think I have this one on... Yeah, let me highlight this one just because this is the list I go through. So Matic, I actually had on watch over 165, and I got a bit of it there. I wish I could say I sold out up here, but I think I sold out most kind of right here for a small profit. And then this one's kind of setting up again. So let me actually take a look here. I'm going to actually add this to the watch list. We're going to go Matic. Basically what I'm looking at this one, the reason I like it is we've got this area of congestion right here, where if you take a look, it was resistance there, resistance there, resistance there, support here, and now we're kind of back inside it here. So this area, call it 165, is really important. So I'm going to leave this same note and say that you should watch it over 165. That's where I would be interested. I want to see it kind of get above these recent highs here over the last, 3 or 4 days. You can see we have equal highs around 168-ish. So for me to get involved in that one, I would want to see a push up there. But let's grab that as a screenshot. So yeah, so what the blog post, and I'll show you guys at the end what a blog post looks like, but it's basically a compilation of all of these charts. Again, each night of kind of what's going on there. CRV is something I want to watch as well, over 4. I've kind of noted this here where, let's just put this downtrend line like that. Right, we have this big rounded base going on here on CRV USD, and then we've been kind of chopping downwards here pretty slowly. So this one I kind of like. I've kind of highlighted why I think that area is important, right? It was resistance in through this area here, and now it's looking like it could be support here. So we get back over 4 and hold for a bit. Every time I say watch over, it's not just, right, hey, it looks good there, buy it there. It's more of a, can the buyers maintain their strength up there? So that's an interesting one to me as well. Anyone who follows me on Twitter will know I am kind of heavy in this ENG name. This one was great. So I just want to note this one here and just put this in this name at 330. So with ENG, it was kind of a different play. Again, I'm not a huge like crypto. I know what all these things do. I just trade them. But mainly what I was looking at in this name is as it was basing in through here, I noticed and I pointed out that there was like 400,000 coins on the offer on Kraken, like just a massive order just sitting there at 330 and just wouldn't move. So I was watching the tape and it was going through, so it wasn't just a fake order or someone trying to scare it down. So when that order got to about 100,000 coins, I just punched in for my size, right? I really don't like talking about sizing because I don't think it's relevant. It's, how much money do you have? So I entered some at 330 with a stop at 250 and made sure that that size was an appropriate risk for me. And now we're up at 280. So I'm already past what I was risking on this. So I'm about to take half off the table. If we can just take a little poke through, and then I just put my stop at break even. I'll hold it, until it gives me a reason to sell, right? Until the trend changes in some sort of meaningful way. But there's really not just that as well. For the strength alert service, do I do a service just for crypto? I don't. Well, Stats Edge again is 50 a month, and I do crypto and FX and stocks. So that's all included. For the TI strength alerts, they don't have crypto. So they're not looking at that. Now, if TrendSpider wanted to do something, like if people wanted to email them and say, hey, I can't use the same exact thing that I've done with trade ideas, contracts and NDAs and that kind of stuff, but maybe I could come up with a relative strength system. But what I do for now, like you'll see how I have this sorted. This list that you're seeing down here in the bottom that I'm scrolling through is basically every crypto that is in Kraken. The reason I scan those is I trade through Kraken, and I ignore anything that's down a bunch on the day, and I usually start at like flat, and then I'll just scan through these because I'm looking for relatively strong names. Like this LPT is interesting to me, right? It needs to go a little bit longer, but strong name pulling back as a trend kind of relative strength guy. That's my MO, right? I want strong stuff that's now pulling back and giving me a potential second wave, again, like curve. I'm not going to buy this thing after it's run from, 3 to 5 here. But as it pulls back down to 4, if we can break this, then I would be interested. And again, the reason I do that is because I always say, okay, where is a logical place for a stop? And if a logical place for a stop is like insane, like this is too wide for me for a logical place for a stop, that looks much nicer. So I'll take that knowing that it's way easier to get, 1.5 to 3 times my risk on each of those. So that's why I'm kind of interested in stuff like curve. And then I just go down this list of anything that's doing okay on the day. I got to say, this whole standing deal might not be interesting. CQT. Again, I don't know what any of these coins do. So if you ever see me buying one, you're like, hey, that's like a stable coin or something, let me know. But I'm not going to make a chart of this because it's not quite that interesting yet. But if we look here and here, we definitely have some resistance around this 80-cent area. So watch this one, maybe if it can retake one. In fact, actually, let's just add that. Watch over 1. And then delete. Then we want to add that to the watch list there, CQT 1. Yeah, because that's basically how I do it to find a relative strength thing. Is it's a bit barbaric, but it works, right? Just show me all of the ones, anything that's down like 10% today. I'm not going to buy it that day. I do like pullbacks, but I want to see some sort of evidence that buyers are getting back in control. This is the only one I have from Binance because I don't think Kraken has helium yet. This is one that I picked up from JC from All Star Charts. He likes the look of or he mines this and all of that. It's made some good moves, and it's now kind of pulling back nicely, and but holding strong. So I don't have access to trade this one, but maybe over 48, 49, helium might be picking up steam again. Dot is interesting, but I think that's got more time to breathe. And then anything that's up like, 10% today, I won't look at that either, because as a trader, I'm not going to buy something that's up 10%. Those are people that do that kind of stuff are kind of falling for FOMO, in my opinion. So I want to make sure. Ooh, that's interesting. So I'm going to highlight this, and we got to note that strong bounce in Ether. So this may be interesting for a lot of the other smart contract style cryptos. I've noticed that some of them, again, the ones I know about, are interesting where, you've got your store of value ones, you've got your game ones, you've got your smart contract ones, and the fact that the smart contract ones are holding strong, that's interesting. Just looking at my ENG again, 3040, that's fine. ADA looks like crap now. Uniswap. What's SRM? It's got a long way to go. Oh yeah, so I took some over 20, I think here. I think that was another flat one. Atom has just been the bane of my existence. Well, I shouldn't complain, right? I bought Atom at 30 like 3 times and sold like a little bit. And then when it came back to 30, I bought more and I sold a little bit. And now this one's just kind of been, I had to stop out the rest, break even. I think I'm just more annoyed with it because of the length of time that I held more than anything. All right, and we would be amiss without looking at the big boy here. So I am currently short Bitcoin. I shorted as it broke this trend line. So I'm short from about 6,300. I covered some, I posted all this in Twitter, like 56, 57. I can't remember exactly. I may reload if we start to fail here at the ADMA on the way back up. But basically on Bitcoin, I'm just looking at this zone right here. I've been highlighting for the pro guys in a while, right? This is kind of the big resistance zone from back here in March to August. And we've bounced back up into it and failed. And then we made another high and then we failed. Meanwhile, the RSI was making lower lows, showing a little bit of weakness in Bitcoin. And it does look like, again, for now, that weakness is continuing. 58,000, I think, is the number for Bitcoin. If we're above 58,000, I think things are good and strong. And below it, that's when things are kind of in trouble. Again, what I like about trading crypto now and why I'm encouraging everybody that will listen to me to trade crypto is how decoupled they look, right? So we've seen some, I just went through the list. We saw some incredibly strong crypto, some incredibly weak crypto, and a bunch of stuff in the middle, which is the same thing you would see as stocks. So in my opinion, they're just, and this is another thing that I talked to JC about, they just trade them like tech stocks. So just treat them like tech stocks, right? Just trade them as if you would any other stock, right? I use Bitcoin as kind of like the index. Like if Bitcoin's ripping, I think it's going to be easier to just buy any other crypto, and that will probably be doing okay as well. But it does seem like it's kind of a coin pickers market, which is great as traders because we're not marrying any of these. Again, I don't even know what most of them do. However, I just want to make sure that if they're tradable instruments, I want to trade them. Right? This is kind of the way she goes. So Euro USD, I was in off of this kind of AVWAP level and this prior resistance, and I got a good trade off of that. I got out on this Morningstar setup, and then it just kind of reversed. So there's nothing really for me to do there. This flag on the Kiwi just failed entirely. AUD was the same thing. I was looking for this to break lower. It looks like that's exactly what it did. I didn't get involved in this one. One I did was USD yen. So I bought a little bit against this trend line, and my stop, I think, is halfway through this pattern. My hope is that, right, the weakness in yen continues off of this bull flag. So there's still a chance to get the same fill or a better one than I am. Again, just playing off of a pretty easy level. And then USD CAD, which I'm obviously biased about as a Canadian that gets paid in US dollars. I want this, the CAD to be really, really weak, but we were looking for a bounce here, and then we got up to 124, and now I'm just noting to everyone that we are at resistance. So for me, I took a chunk off, right? Again, I don't tell people how to trade or what to do. Again, I think the people who look for that kind of service have issues. So, I like to do summaries before I move on to another asset, but it's difficult with the crypto space because it is so diverse, right? What I'll say about Bitcoin is that as long as we're holding under, this level right here, like 63, 64,000, that's worrisome to me because it's basically on failed breakout watch. This was the area we broke out and then we sold back down. Brian Shannon always says from failed moves come fast moves. So I would watch that one. In the with the rest of them, again, I like ENG. I'm in it. Full disclosure, I like that curve CRV USD. I like that one, and then I just wanted to note. I think it's important to note how strong Ether is on top of everything. Right? It broke out, but it came back down to test this prior high and just bounced. So unless this thing turns quickly, Ether is definitely doing much, much better than Bitcoin. And then on the other side of things, the other thing I like to look at, the easiest way to do currencies overall is the dollar index. Yeah, continuous contract, right? So this dollar index, basically, if you don't know what the dollar index is, it's just a combination of different securities against the dollar. So it's a basket. It's got, euro and GBP and Canadian and yen and all of that. And how does this basket of other currencies do against the dollar? So this just shows that the dollar has been kind of incredibly strong recently. All the doomsdayers go, oh, we're printing money, it's going to go to zero. Well, right? Turn off the news. Ignore all that. Look at the chart. So dollar looks strong. A nice pullback here would definitely be warranted. We got a topping tail and a down move on Friday. So that might be a short-term top, but really, if I take this line and I just redraw it up against that high, this is why I don't like lines. Let me actually remove this. This is why you see me use this tool so much, because, the resistance area is like there, right? It's not a line, it's a area. So if we get back down into this area and then bounce, that's interesting. If we fall behind and tank lower, then that's going to be interesting as well. And this is important. Watching this dollar index is important, not just for Forex people, but it's also for crypto people, right? Because when you're trading Bitcoin, a lot of people just think I'm buying Bitcoin, but you're essentially buying Bitcoin and shorting the dollar, right? Where, you're exchanging dollars for Bitcoin, just like I guess stock traders are exchanging dollars for stocks. So it's important to keep an eye on this just to see what's going on. Where, again, we look strong. The dollar index looks good. It had a bad time here for a while, but it seems to be recovering. So it's the funny thing about things like the dollar, right? It's only important relative to other things, other currencies. Now, let's get into the stock world. What? Oh, did I do that? Oh, well, poop. I overwrote my ETF list. Okay. Well, that's no fun. But go over here. And now we are looking at trade ideas, which is my scanner of choice. So here we just want to take a look at the different major indexes and get kind of a feel for the stock environment that's going on. So we'll do the SPY first, and then I always use these to make the notes just because they're interesting. And there's really nothing to tight range highs. Right, that's kind of my note there. We've got tight range at highs, and something needs to give soon. And by that, I just mean, you can't stay this tight forever. The only thing that I think is kind of, I feel is always very, very mean reverting is volatility, right? So when you have periods of chop, again, mean reverting at some point, it can last for a long period of time, but you can have periods of chop in the market, but at some point they have to give way one way or the other. Now, you would be foolish, I think, to always bet every time the market goes up and pauses for a moment to bet short. And the reason for that is just this, right? There are people, I know people out there who every time the market's downticked this year, they've shorted and said, okay, now's the time we crash again. And they've shorted. Okay, we're going to crash this time. And then they short, right? It's one of those, you're better to stay in the direction of the trend until that trend shows some sort of signs of changing, which doesn't look like yet. So, the SPY to me is interesting, but I would always bet in the direction of the trend. Plus, if you draw this out, we have this kind of ascending triangle going on here. Right? Obviously doesn't mean it has to. Anything can happen in the markets, of course, but I wouldn't be shocked to see, a pullback. Where is that? This kind of scenario wouldn't shock me at all, right? A pullback to come down and maybe test these prior highs or, even fail short of them and then push higher. That wouldn't be shocking to me because, again, that would sucker in more of these bears and then we'll pop from there. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, well, that just saved me a lot of time learning that. But yeah, so 170, 17, 170, 50. That's kind of what's interesting to me here on the SPY. Above that, we're continuing to be bullish. Below that, not so much. And as longtime viewers will know, I always like to go then into the RSP. The reason I do the RSP is, and this note I guess is still valid, but the RSP is an equal weighted index, so it doesn't give as much power to Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, all of those big names in the S&P 500. So this is weaker today, and I'm just going to put a note, needs to hold. Right, this needs to hold on this pullback. This was this prior resistance here. Now hopefully becomes support, and we bounce higher. If not, we may be in for some trouble here. But this note still holds that this is weaker. So the difference between these two, if you look at RSP and the SPY, is that they have the same stocks in them, but they're weighted differently. So the fact that the SPY has been holding up way better than the RSP is just because Apple broke out of that range and is now a rocket ship, right? So what we have to pay attention to is obviously if Apple pulls back and everything else is kind of suffering the way it has been, you're going to get a kind of a more of a dramatic sell into the index. If not, then things are probably going to be good from there. So I would keep an eye on Apple, and then I would obviously keep an eye on the RSP. And I like doing that again just because it's, it's kind of what we watch. So then from the RSP, which is our big cap names, I want to shrink. And for this, I use the MDY as an ETF. And this is our mid cap names. So big caps, I think, are like 10 billion plus. Mid caps are 2 to 10 billion, and then small caps anything under 2 billion. So we're kind of going down the cap scale as we go. So MDY with big caps. So I'm going to put, well, let me look. Yeah. MDY. Right, so this is holding well above this resistance zone. So when I say something is being stronger or weaker than other things, is I look at kind of this last high or this resistance zone. So if we look at the mid caps, you can see how much higher we are than if we take a look at the RSP, how much lower we are compared to this high right here. So mid caps are doing better as this, stronger than mid caps, and stronger than the small caps, which we'll look at in a second, right? So one of the reasons for this is that within trade ideas, something that I love is you can go in and scan for things based off of market cap. So if the mid caps are really, really doing well and the small caps and the big caps aren't doing as much, then you can focus on just say, hey, show me all the mid caps and then go from there. You can also do this in TrendSpider where you build your scans and you point them at a list. Maybe they're pointed at small caps right now, and you go in and switch that to being pointed at large caps if they're doing well, or mid caps if they're doing well. But it's just one of those things that you should always adjust because we want to go where the money's flowing, right? And this was holding. So this is something that I saw on Twitter that I laughed about, and now I may be crying about. And it's basically, I think the tweet was the cruelest fate would be for the IWM to hang out in this range that it has for the entire year, break out, and then sell back down into it. Is this a failed breakout? Maybe. But either way, we are right now back into the range. So until we get back over this line, I'm going to consider the small caps range bound, which to me, when that happens, it means, okay, it's time to shorten time horizons. It's time to expect less out of my trade. So instead of holding for 2, 3, 4 hours, I will hold for 1 hour or 2 hour, and then, adjust from there. So again, this is not looking good. It looks like we are back in a range. So we have to then go, okay, what next, right? Could we pull back to the lower end of the range? Certainly, right? That's what a range is. If we find support higher than the low end of the range and then push up, that would obviously be the best bullish signal we could. But, right now with small caps, we're in a range. So there's no reason to kind of think anything else. So, I write a little bit of a paragraph at the bottom of all these blog posts. So my paragraph is going to say, I think we're probably going to be range bound, especially next week, which is what we're talking about. So we'll talk about next week in a second. So that's what I'm seeing in there. Now let's go over to here. And let's actually do, instead of the position in range, let's actually do this first. So Koifin, not affiliated with Koifin unless they want to reach out, but I love this website for kind of deep research. One of the main things I use it for is this graph right here, which actually, let's just get my ugly mug out of the way for a second. There we go. So this graph is essentially what has been doing well and what has been doing poorly throughout the week. And that's actually where I go and I like to take notes. Get my iPad out here. Here we go. So what? XLY, XLK I want to look at, and then we want to look at XLF and XLE. So what this is basically just a relative chart of the sectors that make up the SPY. So the sectors, there's 8, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 sectors that make up the SPY. And basically what I want to do is I want to figure out where is the money flowing into and where is the money flowing out of. Is there any themes that you can get from there? I don't see any themes on this, but B is you want to look at those. The ones that haven't moved very much. I know I don't need to look at this week. I know I don't need to look at real estate this week because it didn't do anything. But XLY, which is our consumer discretionary, right? Yes. And XLK, which is our technology, is doing very well. And then we know that financials and energy did poorly this week. So now I can go back into here and let me just take a look at those. So we can go XLY. Right. This is looking very strong. I don't think there's really anything to note from that other than it's looking very strong. And XLK, which has just been, see, this is the last time I noted anything here, get rid of those, but this thing's just been a rocket, right? So technology and consumer discretionary doing very well. And then if we look at XLF and XLE, which I've been watching for a while, yeah, I said both these look like bull flags, and that's when I had this green box here, and as we were breaking down, worrying me they could be failed breakouts, which right now it's looking like it might be a failed breakout. So needs to hold resistance zone. I think that's very important that we have to bounce from here or the financials are going to be in trouble. And then I think the same picture on XLE. Yep. Bull flag, question mark, and nope. Right, that's why everything's a pattern until the moment it's not. Darn it. Hold on. I put the wrong things into the wrong folder. Because, yeah, at the same time I'm doing these, I'm taking screenshots of these because this is, again, this is what, there we go. This is essentially, and again, I'll show you at the end, but this is what a blog post looks like for the Stats Edge Pro guys. Is just a bunch of all these charts about kind of what I'm seeing and what I'm not seeing, only including charts that I think are important. Next, let's actually go into this website, which I love, and that is, geez, the 22nd, Monday? Nothing. Forex Factory, again, not affiliated with them, but nothing. It's essentially just a news aggregator website that tells you any upcoming events that are going on. And it's a good way to know, okay, are, big caps or is anyone talking? Is there any numbers coming out? And then I just look at what people are caring about in the market right now and then decide whether or not that's a number that is interesting in any way. And that's about it for the markets, right? I'm short-term worried, I guess is the best way to put it. Markets are still in a long-term uptrend, right? And they're still in a long-term uptrend. They have been for a while. I think you'd be insane just to be shorting every dip that comes in. It's one of those, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, right? Eventually the trend will change, but I don't think it's just going to happen overnight and you'll never get a chance to get involved in it. They say bottoms are an event, tops are a process. I think it's funny because let's go to the IWM. And one of the Stats Edge guys who was in that would back me up. when we were in this area right here, my thinking was not bearish. That's probably a better way to put it on the SPY. Remember Evergrande during here? When that was selling off, my theory wasn't that we were done, right? My theory was that we were going to chop for the rest of the year. And even as we were coming up here, I was saying, we might get a little bit above resistance or we might just dabble around resistance. But I expected a lot of this to go on. Then we broke this, and now we've been chopping sideways. But everything that I've showed you with, financials and energies and all that just has me a little bit more worried than normal. So could I have been right? And we are going to be range bound, but we're just range bound from higher prices. Certainly possible. I wouldn't call for the end of a bull market just because I'm a little bit nervous about things, but it means I won't be leaning on the gas. If we are range bound, we can trade that. It just means you buy it. If you're up any money at all, you take a big chunk out. When I'd maybe only sell half or a third, I'll be selling 2/3 or 3/4, just taking the wins as they come and then trying to push that little bit out to see if it runs, but then waiting for the market to confirm that, okay, we've really got a chance to move before I'm committed to that. And that's what I'm thinking about the markets. Let's get into scanning. I'm going to adjust this list first and we'll get through your thing. So this was the list as of Friday, but there's a lot of stuff that didn't trigger and is now selling. So I'm going to do some gutting of this list just to see how many more we're going to add. So INMD, I don't really like anymore. GRTS, I still like the look of that one. SSNC, I still going to leave this one on the list because I think you could, if you get it close to 80, that's interesting. But this is probably one of my biggest positions right now. Just because it was so tight here, my stop's so close that I've allocated kind of full risk, I guess, to this position with a pretty tight stop. And again, you can see the reason why here. This is all the stuff that, again, they see on at Stats Edge. It's just a kind of cup and handle look with a little breakout into new all-time highs, and kind of the most bullish thing a stock can do is do all-time highs. I guess is important to note for people, this dividend that's coming up here. Just FYI, generally speaking, if you're new to dividends, I don't do a lot of dividend trading and investing right now, but as I get a little bit longer in the tooth and my accounts are a little bit bigger and I'd be more satisfied with lower and safer returns, that's definitely something I'm going to get into. It's a whole dividend investing thing. But generally what will happen is the stock will drop by the price of the dividend, all else being equal, right? If you're in a stock and it's going to pay $1 per share, you're going to expect that stock to drop $1 per share, roughly, right? Again, all else being equal, that's what will happen. All else is never equal, right? So there's always other stuff to do there. Key, I'm going to take Key off the list. This is going to be a pretty big gut of the list here, I think. ARTA, I still like. It closed right outside of 18, but it's 3 kind of big days up in a row. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to chop. So I'm going to leave this one on the list here as well. We'll just make sure that that's in there. IMGS, we were looking forward to break the top part of this range. It didn't do that and it tanked. I liked the massive short float on this one, but if the price is not going to cooperate, the price is not going to cooperate. So that goes. Often what I'll do is I'll do something like this when I delete it from the list, where you put one of these in and then I can just tell TrendSpider to say, hey, let me know. Great alert for this line. Bop, bop, bop. If anyone from TrendSpider is watching, I would really love not to have to go through all of these many steps. Setting back up when I do a new thing. So basically just set an alert in there, remove it from the list so I don't watch it. If my phone vibrates, then I'll kind of get back in. I still like shoe. Dash, absolute no-go anymore. Right, gapped. Didn't take it on the gap. Closed, pretty ugly. Not super interested in that one. RPEL, I got in some, but it's still near the trigger price, so I'm going to leave that one on. CURV, this one's very interesting to me, so I'm actually going to watch. What's the watch? 20. Stop. What do I have here? 1750. So the reason I like this one is that it's got a 30% short float. So I did a segment for Trader TV on Friday where kind of my theme was at the retail XRT. The retail index was strong, breaking out, pulling back a bit, but relatively strong. And then I went to Curve, CURV. Just click on it, Mike. It's easier. There we go. And basically with this, I'm trying to see like a close over 20. And the main reason behind that is just that massive short float. If we can get and hold over 20, then I think it's super interesting to take a look at, see if we can get kind of a move from there. CCXI, I still like. This one's been in a range for a long time. I need to see a close over 41. Which again, if you guys are new, essentially what I do with my swing trading, which is unique, and it's unique for the room that we have, is that I do all of my entering and exiting and managing of trades on the close. It's an experiment I actually started at the beginning of this year, and I found that my returns were as good, if not better. And it just took way less energy. And the reason I did it is because I was kind of sick of getting wicked in and then wicked out. So, hey, let me get into this stock. It looks good. And then, 2 seconds later, it's trading below you. So a tenet of kind of Charles Dow is that the closing prices are the most important prices. So the theory there is that if that's true, which I believe it is, just trade the closing price. Right? Spend the day doing other things. I day trade as well, right? I consult with trade ideas. I've got, my website and YouTube and all that. So I've got plenty of stuff to keep me busy throughout the day. And then at 3 o'clock Eastern, I open it up. We have some proprietary algos that I'm running, and we have some different things like that where it's like, okay, let's get into it. I manage all my trades because my trailing stops are usually a close below moving average or something like that. So I can just manage all of my trades there. So we currently have 10 things in the list. That means we're looking for a maximum of 5 names to put on there. If I did that right, let me just double click this quick. And then we'll start scanning. And at the same time that I scan, this is when you guys can pop your tickers into the room. I see one in there already. I'm not forgetting about you. I like doing it while I'm scanning just because if you like something, then I'll put it in. So now we're switching over to trade ideas. Again, this is my scanning tool. I think their scanning is kind of best in the business. Again, I work with them. I consult with them. So just FYI, I'm biased there. If you're interested in any of these, again, link in the description below. Another thing I'll ask you before we get scanning is everyone in here, I don't keep the numbers up. I could be by myself for all I know, but if you're in here, hit the like button, please. I get an email again like once a week from YouTube that says, "Hey, tell people to like your shit." They probably send that to everybody, to be blunt, but so you're looking at DPW. Obviously a beaten up stock, right? There's no doubt about that. This thing's just been a choppy mess in a range here. So you're not in an uptrend, so you're kind of got that against you. I do like the last 2 candles here, though. I like the, you had a really ugly day on into earnings, and then it had earnings, right? And then it gapped up and it held right here. So it means that everybody who shorted into this breakdown right here is now underwater. So you may get those people coming in to cover. So I like it. I'm trying to get away from bottom picking. I'm trying to get away from even my rounded bottom scans and RSI divergences and stuff like that, because I just think an easier life is the stuff that's going up. However, right, you got earnings out of your way. Whatever they said in the earnings call, it doesn't matter, right? We're technical traders. I don't care. But they obviously liked it. And I think you've got some people trapped. So for a play, I like it. It's not something that I'll trade, but I think I think you may got a play in your hand. I would say if you get over, 215, that'd be interesting. Worst case, you're out at the bottom of this candle right here. Not investment advice. I'm just some guy on the internet that you clicked on my little picture to get into. Now, I was up quite late last night doing some testing on pullback strategies, which I'll talk about more in the exclusive members only webinar that we're going to do, I think, sometime next week. I've got to look at that, or Monday the week after. I'm obsessed, let's put it this way, with being able to buy pullbacks. I went through kind of my last year of trading and I sorted just by the big guys. Ignore the rest of them. And the big guys that could have been bigger were all pullback trades, right? DVAX, one of my biggest trade on the year. Like DVAX, again, I don't like talking about money, but DVAX paid what, a really shit job would pay for like a year, right? And the theory behind DVAX is we knew that this area, this 1150 area, was big because it was resistance here and it became support here. And we bought it in this area right here. And then, kablamo, right? This was, again, I didn't hold it all through here. I sold in bits on the way up. I could have gotten way more out of it, but it was a great trade. So, it's like I always want to be a trend trader. I always want to trade with the trend. I'll never just erase breakout trades from my plan entirely, because a better trade would have been, a break of that area right there. But then you're doing that right in front of resistance. That was problematic in the past right here. But that pullback trade was just spot on. The risk was just so tiny. And that pop came out. And then, we have the last hour trader algo for you guys in the room. That's a pullback algo. So just FYI, I'm going to be obsessed going forward with playing with pullbacks. And the reason I bring that up right now is I'm going to add this FSR to the list because I like it, because of the fact, right, this resistance right here is support right here. And that's going to be a lot of what I look at going forward. So I want to see this kind of break and hold above yesterday's high, which was 22. So let's go to FSR. That's not like obnoxious to anyone with when I switch back and forth like that, is it? I can do it slower. I'm learning all these Trend Spider hotkeys. This one to draw like that. Ooh. Right, resistance there. Maybe support here. So we're going to move that. I guess we had a trade on that. I don't know if that worked out. Watch 20, stop, got 18. Because that's an interesting look to me right there. Again, the thing I like about pullback plays, I've just never been good at them, right? So that's one of the things is you're just going to see me doing a lot more of them because I'm going to keep the stuff that I know that works, like the cup and handles and the flags and things like that. But, if I have, say, a 2022 goal in mind, it's going to be strictly a trend pullback player, long and short. It's basically all I do day trading as well. And it's to, again, you just get these areas, these inflection points that are super, super interesting. Let me take a look at chat, make sure I haven't missed anything. Perfect. Again, I don't bring the numbers up, but I'm assuming there's at least one human being in here. So as you know, what charts you want me to look at, questions, stuff like that, it's fantastic. If not, we don't have a whole lot of time before I get yelled at to go do something, I'm sure. TIL is interesting. Let's draw an anchored view app. Ooh, and right under that, what do you guys do? Biological product. TIL is clinical stage biopharmaceutical engaging in. Yeah. Ugh. Okay, so that one's risky. It's kind of a dirty chart too. Let's skip that one. Anytime I see the word cancer, it like puts a little bit of a lotto ticket on things, right? Either you're doing well with cancer or whatever is not, and that's going to be problematic. Development products, central nervous system disease. Again, I hope these guys all the best, but they're a bit risky. Again, what I like about this one is, again, the pullback, right? We broke this high and then we pulled back and tested it. It just doesn't look clean to me. I think I still have a tiny bit of this GPRE. Nothing to write home about, but we had this in right here. DPW, were you sleeping? I went through DPW. Rewind the chat there, Matt. Sorry. I did a whole thing on it. Basically, the summary was, I think you're fine as long as you're over 2, basically. However, just know it's a shitty, choppy stock. So, you're fighting a trend there. But I like the earnings gap. JPW, I think I'm still in some, so I don't like putting stuff that I'm in on the watch list. AMC is interesting for you trade ideas guy. GameStop of all things made it to the TI strength alerts this week, which is hilarious. But AMC, we're getting interesting here. Let's actually. Oh, I didn't mean to close that. Let's just go boop and let's go to the weekly here. Yeah, that's getting kind of tight, isn't it? Do they have it in them? So AMC is interesting as long as you're sitting above 40, in my opinion. GRTS, I almost said, oh, that looks nice, I'll put it on the list, but it's already on the list. Light looks really good. Earnings out of the way. 12% short float, better than a kick in the teeth. Yeah, that's going on there. LITE. So this is, again, the same kind of type of strong name pulling back type of thing that I'm after, right? On light here, we've had this nice strong week the last couple weeks, and then we've been pulling back here nicely. So I think a kind of a purchase above, let's say 92, and then we can stop it at like 88. Watch 92, not 82, 92. Stop 88. I think that's an interesting look here as well. Where is? I see there's some people hanging out watching me update the members watch list here. I'm just keeping, I know it says October on this watch list, but at this point I'm just going to keep it till December, and then we'll just make a new sheet. But yeah, light is interesting. Just again, it's pullback. The pullback ended at a very logical area, and now it's giving us a nice little 3-day base. And it also has those 2 inside days that you remember in a member webinar we were talking about. So we have this day, and then we have an inside day, and then we have an inside day. So it's getting really tight. So then above that, if we close above that, I think we could push. We've got resistance way up here at 96. That's not a lot. And then from there, it's just kind of all-time highs. I like that one. CBP. That's a Campbell Soup. We watching Campbell Soup. CPP. Yeah, it's another downtrend. This one I'm not nearly as interested in as the other one. That to me looks like a good short, if anything, right? You've got this big kind of rounded top look, and then you're right at resistance there. So could you get a bounce off that support? For sure. That's not, I just think the more I look at counter trend trading, yeah, you can get some really nice low risk pops from it, but it's hard. It just makes your life harder. KPTI. KPTI. Man, I'm telling you, dyslexia is not cool when you're a trader. Good thing it's usually only words and not numbers. And it looked interesting until the gap down here. You've got to get above, you got to fill the gap, and then you got to get through the base. And then you've got all this to the right. So from alongside, not really interested. This is actually a pretty common short setup. So you wait for gaps like this to fill, right? So this gap got filled and then just chopped around for a while and then sold back down. What was it? Blue. That happened recently, right? You had a gap like this that was filled and then kablamo. So be careful with that one. V, downtrend at lows. Just nothing I'd be interested in, right? An easier way to live life, guys, is to already buy the stuff that's going up. There's a lot of, I get it. I have the same inclination of the underdog type of thing, but I just think an easier life is just, what are the big guys buying? Because the big guys make stuff go up. And that sounded like the most barbaric sentence I've ever said. But, if you're a giant institution, that's who's pushing the market around. So if things are going up, it's usually a good thing. So CDMO, no idea what this company is, no idea what they do, whatever they're doing, the market likes. So I don't need to buy something at $1 or even Visa. Like I don't need to buy Visa down here when everyone else is getting murdered on it to try to have it work through all of these bag holders to get to new highs, when I can just buy this at 34, and if I'm out at 37, that's 10%, right? It's like, give me a 10% return on a stock once a month and I'm a happy camper. I'll just keep rolling that into the next stop. So for this one, I'm going to watch it at 34, and I'm going to stop it at, it's probably 32-ish. Right, so we're risking $2. Do I think that this thing could get more? For sure. And again, I'm not shit talking the bottom feeders, because again, I still have it. I have scans like rounded bottom and RSI divergence where I look for them as well. The difference I would say is I don't want things that are selling. I want things that are selling and kind of bouncing a bit, right? So let's actually just go to, wait, I need to put that in, and we have room for 2 more after this. CDMO, and that's right? Oh, that's interesting. So we need to go 34 and then 32. So the thing is, well, this might be a good one as well, right? AEVA. I kind of like things like this, but not as, I wouldn't buy it here, even though that would have been a great play. I want to see it do something like it's doing here, where it's showing me that the buyers have gotten control a bit before I'm going to participate. Now, with what I'm thinking and going through my trading, I may just be better off killing that play. But same with this, like ORA. Again, no idea what these power distribution. Instead of buying this as it's selling, trying to catch a bottom, and then it either bounces or it just does this for a period of time. The move here was to take the breakout of this resistance and go from there. But now I'm watching this thing as a nice pullback, and maybe, I get a push and I get some money out of this, but at least all of these bag holders had a chance to work themselves out. And this is, I think, the power of Brian Shannon's anchored VWAP, right? So anchored VWAP is essentially just the average market participant from an event, right? So if you were to buy a little bit of ORA every day and you start it right at this high right here at 127 when it crashed, you are now up a little bit. If you just bought, like, say, a share of ORA every single day, that's what this purple line tells us. So now that we're above that, it just means more of those bag holders have been worked out of the system, right? Because the problem with bag holders is that we've all done it. We all know it's wrong. But the thing with bag holders, you're like, if I ever get back to even, I'm out, right? We've all said that. Again, we know it's not the right move, but we've done it. So you got to think about it. Everybody who's in our ORA from that sell-off, they're thinking the same thing, right? If I ever get back to even, I'm out. So you want to make sure that enough of those people have gotten out of the way before you get involved. So that would be one thing. If you're trying to bottom pick, wait for the anchored VWAP from that high to get cleared. I think it's just, right? It's just one of those, you want to make your life boring and easy, right? That's what we want as traders, is a nice, boring, easy life. Right? I always say, if you want to do something exciting, go skydiving. Right? Right. So when I'm looking at this, again, big strong push up after this, right? We know it's over the anchored VWAP from highs. And then it's got this little pullback here. So above that pullback gets us 81. So we're going to watch 81, and then we're going to put our stop at 77. And then we've got one more to look at. Basically, I put a cap on my, what I say, 81, 77. I put a cap on my watch list. I don't want, if I need to go through a watch list of 100 things, then I'm just not going to be focused enough. And again, I do everything in the last hour of the day. So in that last hour, I want to make sure that I'm able to sit down and just focus, right? Ooh, I like this one too. Yep, that's going to be it. LTH. So 15 is my max. I just say, okay, at 15, I am done, right? That is my max of stocks I want to look at, because at the end of the day, I have two algorithms that I look through, and then I look through all of these symbols on the list. Anything that looks like it's closing, at or over that resistance that I'm looking for, then I buy those, I put an appropriate stop, and then I have to go through my whole portfolio and say, okay, what do I sell part of? What do I sell all of? What do I move out? And then I start my scanning. And I try to do all of that in an hour-long period, because, it's funny, the people, when you ask them why they want to trade, they say, financial freedom, I can do what I want, things like that. And then they sit in front of the screens for 8 to 10 hours a day, right? For me, I want to focus that time in, and then the extra things I do are, different kind of income sources, like consulting and YouTube and affiliate sales and things like that, while I'm young. And then as I get older, the hope is that I don't need to do those anymore, right? So then I can just focus in on the one, right? Watch 20. So just make sure you're not leaving. I know people who have left a 9-to-5 job just to create their own 9-to-5 job with less security and more risk, type of thing. And LTH, we're going to pop that over here. LTH, and we're going to go 20 spot 5 and 19. 18, 19. Okay, guys, so that is what I'm looking at for today. If anyone has any more immediate questions, let me know. In the meantime, I just want to give you a little preview of what Stats Edge Pro is, and then I'm going to ask you guys for another like on the video, and then we will call it a day. And then also feedback. You can leave feedback under. I read every comment on every video, so you can certainly do it there. At the same time, you can tweet me, right? Michael Noss, CMT. You can leave comments on the YouTube channel. You can send a little message thing from all of that. But here's my website. I've got dark mode on. Hold on, let me turn off dark mode. There we go. So on the website, you've got my trading tools. Again, these are affiliate links, but this is everything you see me use today. You can check those out. Again, they'll help support the channel, and you get a nice tool. Free trading course. If you're interested here, there's a 39 lesson long free trading course, always free. Never going to put that behind a paywall. It was me and my wife, Jessica, when we were in the first kind of big quarantine lockdown. We went through fundamental analysis, technical. It starts with what is a stock, and it ends with building your own trading plan and journaling it. Come check that out. Again, 100% free on there. And then there's Stats Edge Pro, if you're interested in. And a couple things here. So one is a little members chat. Again, it's not a chat room I hang out in all day. It's never going to say buy this here, sell this here. Don't believe in those. Not going to do them. Access to all my scans with trade ideas and TrendSpider. So I just upload them here. I talk about what I'm looking for with them and all of that, and every scan that I build in the future. We have a archive for the members Q&A. So once a month we have a Q&A with just members over Zoom, where I will answer any question people have. It's kind of a bring your own beer, put your feet up on the table. Some of them have gone like 3 hours long, but we'll be doing another one of those at the end of the month. And then we have my watch list and analysis. So let's just go and show you what one of these guys looks like. This is what the November 19th one looked like. Again, I just kind of point out what I'm seeing in the names, right? This talked about this mana, that it was really, really strong in through here. Right, CRV, I had that in there. So, right, my Bitcoin short. So just all of the charts that you have seen go through here basically are uploaded so that people can see what I'm watching, and then into a nighttime watch list. And then just, a couple lines, maybe a paragraph on what I'm thinking of the market. And then that takes you to this watch list right here, where again, you can see these are all the names that we've added. Here's some recently triggered ones. I don't think anyone used this, so I might delete it. And then here are all the cryptos that I'm watching and levels that I'm watching them at. So that is that as well. So again, thank you everyone for coming up. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Feedback of what you want to see on the channel, ideas you have for anything, hit me up. Twitter is a great way to do it. Let me actually get you my Twitter. Again, someone's watching the VODs or something. Where am I? That's me. And you can follow me there. You can say hi, give feedback. All that kind of stuff is greatly appreciated. And I will talk to you guys soon. So trade safe out there.